We're continuing our study of Mareh Yaakov as with every week. We try to take something from the week's Parsha and see if our knowledge of the notes gives us a little more of an in-depth understanding of something that we might not have understood before. Thank you to Sue Oliver for providing the venue for tonight.
Pleasure.
If you notice, we've got a different background. That's why. This week we read Parshat Chukat, and Parshat Chukat talks about Parah Aduma. So we have a sentence that says, "V'ikhu elecha Parah Aduma tmima, asher in bamum, asher lo ala ala'o." So we say that you take a red heifer, tmima. That's perfect. And yet we learn that Parah Aduma can have one or two hairs that are not
red,
the right color, that are not red. So how do we see this imperfection in Parah Aduma Tmima? A perfect red cow. How do we see that? And not only that, Lo ala aleha ol, that you haven't put a yoke onto its neck, but you can put a blanket over it,
I just read this.
or you can tie it up around its neck for its own protection, not to draw it or to lead it, but for its own protection, you can put something around its neck. So, again, where do we see that in the notes? So,
what, you know the answer?
There must be a with the dot in the middle under.
okay, so when so we've
No, but she's talking.
She's talking about there's no Karnei Parah.
we've learned that the dot in the dot in the letters of Beged Kefet, if it's there, tells us the word is there in its full strength. And if it's not there, then the word is there in a sense of slight imperfection. So, the Beged Kefet.
Right.
So, if you look very closely,
Kefet.
yes,
Okay.
Beit, Gimel, Daled, Kaf, Pei, Tav.
Gimel can have a dot also?
Gimel can have a dot. And we'll come across an example of a gimel with a dot, and we'll have to find a temani to try and give us a differentiation in the pronunciation. Well, if you find a real Ashkenazi, you will find a difference between a tav and a sav. So yes, you will find different places that emphasize those pronunciations. So, if you look very closely at the Chumash, you'll see Bikhu Elecha Farah, not Para, but Farah. The Pei doesn't have a dot in it.
Really?
So there's our imperfection. We see that it can have those two up to two hairs that aren't the right color. But wait a minute, the dot in Beged Kefet only gets canceled when the word before ends in an aleph, hey, vav, or yud. Elecha ends in a kaf. Kaf sofit. So what happened here? Why did it disappear?
Wait, say it again. You can only have the dot.
So how do you cancel the dot in the pei? If the word before, the letter in the word before ends in aleph, yud, vav, or hey.
Right.
Now we've actually had this happen before, where we've had a kaf sofit, and it's canceled the dot. Why? Because kaf sofit with a kamatz is treated grammatically as a kaf and a hey after it.
Yeah.
So we're implying the hey. The hey is there. The pei disappears. Now this only applies when the note before is a note that connects. If it's a note that separates, so if this was a tipcha that has that little pause after it, then the rule wouldn't apply. So does this have to be a tlisha gedola or a tlisha ktana? Tlisha elecha has a tlisha. Tlisha gedola goes at the beginning of the word, focuses you backwards, and tells you that that word stands alone because it's looking at what happened before. Tlisha ktana focuses you forward and connects the two words. It's a misharet, not a melech. It's something that connects the words. So this has to be a Tlisha Ktana. Tlisha Ktana comes at the end of the word always, and then you put a second one on the syllable that's accented. Vikhu elecha
It looks like two horns.
para. So, by the way, you've got your two horns there. And the cups of feet is what's influencing this to be imperfect. So lo ala aleha ol, that it didn't have anything that went on top of it. So when we see words like kol and chol, all of those words like that always have a vav in the middle of them. All should have a vav in the middle. So the first thing is, it's missing the vav, so it's not something that is a complete rule. The thing that can't go on it isn't so complete, because it's missing that vav. So that's one of the reasons that, and by the way, without the vav in the middle, it looks like al, something that goes on top of it. So all means a yoke, means what you put onto an animal to make it capable of plowing. So that's one of the explanations. But also, lo ala aleha with a tzipcha, nothing came on top of it. Pause. By the way, something can go on top of it. Something that's good for the animal can go on top of it. So a blanket, a rope to protect it, something that's on it for the animal's sake is okay. Something that's on it for the sake of using this animal for another purpose is not. So there can be something al, but lo ala aleha, nothing that went above it, nothing that went above the needs of the animal is allowed to go on top of it. And that's why we have the pause after the tipcha and the ol sitting by itself.
I think sure, because I want to see something like itself. I think he's better than your father.
Jeff, the vowel that's right at the end of the cups of feet, is that under it or after it?
The vowel goes after it.
It is after it, because had it been under it, it would have been actually on the right-hand side of it. So it's actually after it. Yeah.
Why? I have a question. Why isn't it lecha spelled cup hay? And then, or was it at one point before Ezra did the ending notes and stuff? Because if you say it's really replacing a hay, I guess it's like an apostrophe.
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, because before Ezra did the Otiyot Sofiyot, maybe it was.
I would presume not. I would presume not, because then you couldn't take away a letter that was in original Torah. Okay, you couldn't have a kaf hay at the end and then turn it into a cups of feet.
So before the ending letters in Ezra, so how was that spelled? It was spelled just a kaf?
Probably.
Like a Hirschkopf, or like the pay Hirschkopf doesn't have it. And what was under it? Was there a comment under it?
Yeah. Well, again,
I thought you said the comment
vowels aren't written in Hebrew anyway, so they're
That's actually referring to the tefir.
Yeah, I know you were talking about the tefir. So wait,
so we're going to pause for a second and we're going to get to